So this week's car, if you haven't already guessed yet, is the Hyundai i20 N-Line. Oh yes, and it's what I call a warm hatchback. It's not quite a hot hatch, but it's definitely not your entry-level bog standard car. No, this car sits neatly in between two of those that's out of the three that Hyundai produce in the i20 line, so to speak. So you've got basically the i20 entry-level car, which is your grandma's favourite shopping trolley. That's the only way I can really describe it. And then you've got the i20N Performance, or N as it is now known. It gets its name from Nürburgring, by the way, but that's another story. That N Performance is your brother's chick magnet. That's the one that your brother uses. That is a proper hot hatch, and I've driven it, trust me, it's a bit special. But I think Hyundai have been really clever here, and they've seen that little market in between, that sort of warm hatch, so to speak, where it's not quite the entry-level car, but at the same time, it's not a hot hatch, so you're not being bounced all over the place and, you know, tearing up the lanes, so to speak. You've got that sort of middle ground, and that's where the i20 N line comes into its own. So we need to have a look around this car. We need to check it out and see what we think of this i20 N line, whether it's actually worth its money, whether it's practical, whether we can get out and enjoy it. So let's do that. You're watching me, AJ, on the Player YouTube channel. And if you haven't seen us before, check this out. This is how a car should sound. Listen to this.
I didn't really push it either. I was just having a bit of fun.
Oh really? So there you have it, guys, the Ferrari Roma. Wheel spring. Outside, God, trust me, no. We're going to meet the crew and hopefully get the same out.
I think it makes a good word.
Let's go,
Nice to
mate.
start.
Nice to see you.
Show us your big chopper, your helicopter. So here we are, the Morgan Roadster. Guys, guess what? It's another morning here out in sunny France. So for around 23,500 UK pounds, you can get yourself an i20 N-Line entry-level car. You get a choice of 9 different colours, and some of them are pretty wacky, trust me. With the N-Line, you get a sportier grille, a much racier body kit, comes standard with these 17-inch alloys. And additionally, you'll find you get a nice leather sporty steering wheel, you get a leather gear knob and some really lovely little red accents all around the inside of the car. Under the bonnet, the i20 N-Line gets a little 1 litre 3-cylinder turbo-powered petrol engine that develops around 120 brake horsepower. It's ably assisted by a 48-volt mild hybrid system. And when I mean ably assisted, basically it'll give a little bit more kick when you put your foot down, because that hybrid will kick in, and at the same time it does a lot more for the economy. But we'll talk about the economy when we get it out on the road and how that 48-volt hybrid system works. The car comes as standard with a 6-speed manual gearbox. However, if you want to go for the DCT, that's the dual clutch transmission, that's the auto box, it's a 7-speed, but it will cost you an extra £1,250. Car will do 0 to 60, wait for it, in just under 10 seconds with a top speed of 120 miles an hour. It's not a bad little unit. So, round at the back of the i20 N-Line, as displayed here by our tame Boston Terrier, it's not very big, as McQueen will testify. He doesn't like travelling in here. As you can see, he's quite uncomfortable about the whole thing. However, I'm sure you could get 2 McQueens in there if you really wanted to. We're going to put him out of his misery and ask the producer to come in and take said Boston Terrier away. Bye, McQueen. Thank you so much for showing us exactly how big the boot of the i20 N-Line is, which is no different to a standard i20, to be honest with you. It's small at the end of the day. I think that's where we're going with this. Okay, so you do get the inevitable parcel shelf, but there's a nice little bit that goes on with this bit. You've got to watch this. It unclips here as normal. I quite like this. But what you can do, you can pull it forward, and look at that. It slips down the back into two little channels, and it's nicely tucked away there. How cool is that? The only thing is, when you do pop the seats down, it's a 40-60 split there like that. Now you've still got that in the way. So then you inevitably have to remove it, which you pop it out either side like that. But now there's nowhere to put it because it's too wide. Even under here, you've got the mild hybrid system built in here, so you can't get a spare wheel or anything, and you definitely won't get that in there either. So unfortunately, you do end up getting stuck with this if you need to use that extra space. But I'll show you, because this car is very practical at the end of the day. There's a lot of space there. You took the front wheel off a bicycle, you definitely get that in there, no problem at all. You probably get one on top of each other. In actual fact, if McQueen was still here, he could have a little run around in there. We could even put his bed in there for him. So once you've got the seats down, practical car. No 12-volt adapter in the back here. You weren't expecting that. And as I say, underneath here is the hybrid system, and unfortunately you do end up with the pump and the latex, which is completely useless. So if I was buying one of these, I'd invest in some run flats. The actual load height is quite high. I was shocked at that. Let's just drop that back over again. And there is quite a lip there as well. Don't forget, get some sticky back plastic, cover it over here, and you won't get all this scratched up at the end of the day. But all in all, this is a nice little warm hatch with practicality. So one thing to remember, in the back here, this car is still an i20. I know it's a little bit fancier because it's got a few nice extra bits and pieces on it. It's got some better seats, for example. But look at the space. It's still that standard car, which is brilliant. So it makes it nice and easy to get baby seats in if you have to. It makes it nice and easy if you're picking up granny or granddad. They're going to be able to get in and out of it. Look at the rake on the door. Look how easy it is to access as well. Let's check out how much space you've got in the back here for your leg room and stuff. Loads of it, because it's an i20 at the end of the day. You've got the height in here, got a little USB adapter in the middle there. No independent heating in the back here, but who needs it? Do you really need it in a little car like this? Probably not. And I'm sure if you go up the trim levels, you can probably have that added in extra if you want to. I love the fact that the ISOFIX points in here, they're like behind a little bit of zipping. So they've got a zip there with a bit of material, and I love the material. And then, you know, you don't have all that plastic that you have to pull out and you lose those things, or they're on hinges or whatever. So nice and simple. Okay, we're lacking a little, you know, armrest here in the middle with the double cup holder. I could go with that. That would be quite nice to have. But at the end of the day, is it big enough to get three of us across? Well, that's the test, isn't it? So you've got recessed seat belts in here, so they're not going to, you know, stick in the wrong place as I slide across. And I've got to say, yeah, it's going to be tight. It's going to be rather, you know, cosy, so to speak. But yeah, you could get a lift back from the local boozer, as we say over here, and you wouldn't be, you know, that uncomfortable. So all in, you've got the benefit of that original i20 car, but at the same time, it's wrapped up in a lovely little sporty package. i20 N-Line cars get a number of nice little extra bits and pieces that tick the boxes in my little black book. For instance, up front, you get standard LED headlights, and they come with the auto dip beam function as well, which I think nowadays is essential. That should be included with all cars. On top of that, you'll get the daytime LED running lights. Again, that's just a nice little finish. Most cars get them these days. Round at the back, you've got LED indicators and tail lights and stop lights, etc. Again, just a nice finish. I love the cluster on the back of this car as well. I think it's really smart the way it's cut in there. Moving swiftly inside the car to one of my favourite items in the car is the digital cluster. It's a 10.25-inch digital cluster. Really nice. You can't beat a digital cluster on a car, in my opinion. And then you've got the digital 10.5 TFT digital touchscreen in the centre there. Again, really lovely position. It's all built in and all part of the actual, you know, the fascia itself there. I think it's done really nicely. I love the design of this car on the inside as well. That incorporates sat-nav system, which comes as standard. You've also got Apple Play, Bluetooth mirroring, you've got your your Android mirroring, your Bluetooth connectivity. I can't even get my words out these days, I'm so excited about this car. And finally, if that all wasn't enough for you, out the back there, you've got a decent little sporty exhaust. I was quite shocked at the sound that this car makes, especially when you start it up. Listen to this. When it comes to safety, the i20 N-Line absolutely nails it, and I mean nails it. For instance, up front here, you've got 6 airbags. Straight away, I feel completely safe. 6 airbags in this car. Utterly brilliant. On top of that, in the sad event you do have a prang, a little accident or whatever, the car will actually ring the emergency services for you automatically. It will let the emergency services know you've had an accident and where you are. That's brilliant, utterly brilliant. I love it. Then you've got all the safety aids, all the bits and pieces that are thrown into this car as standard. I'm going to give you some examples. So you've got the front and rear sensors, and you've got the rear camera, and you've got the cross traffic alert system as well. You've also got the autonomous braking. That's, again, brilliant. If it feels it needs to take over and hit the brakes for you, it will do. You've got impending collision alert system as well. Again, utterly brilliant, so it can sense if it thinks there's an impending collision coming up. And then on top of that, your driving aids, which are all here on the left-hand side of the steering wheel. You've got the cruise control as standard, obviously. Distance control, when you're in the cruise and you're in a load of traffic and it can set the distance between you and the car in front. I love that, so good. Then it's got a lane departure warning system, so if you come across the lines while you're driving along, there's a lane departure warning system on it. Again, utterly brilliant, you can't go wrong with that. And it's got lane keepy on it as well, so it will actually keep you within your lane as well. Then when you're in a town perhaps where you don't quite understand the speed limits, you might be driving along, it's got a sign recognition on here as well. I love that. There's a tyre pressure monitor system on here. You see what I mean by having all these bits on the standard car. Hyundai, they absolutely know how to build a car. There's no doubt about it, to include all those bits. But then they go and let themselves down. I was giving them 10 out of 10 there, and then all of a sudden I look around, no blind spot mirrors. Who builds a car without blind spot mirrors and puts all the rest of that gear on there? I don't get that. And then, which made me laugh, I get it can be quite handy to have, but no blind spot mirrors, but a fatigue monitor. Yes, a fatigue monitor. So this car will tell me when I need to stop and have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, but I don't have blind spot monitor. You work the math out on that one. I can't do that one. I think I know when I need to stop and have a cup of coffee. When I'm tired, when I've had enough, I'm out driving, I want to have a little break. But I could really do with the blind spot. I think they're essential. Anyway, have me moan, but I do need to stop and take a cup of coffee. Let's go do it. So as I said earlier, this car comes with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. Now, for anybody who doesn't know the differences between the 3 hybrid systems, it's pretty simple. You've got a plug-in hybrid, that's a PHEV. Basically, you've got to plug it in, it's as it says on the tin. And most of the time, you only get a very low amount of miles that you can run on electrical energy alone, i.e. popping down to the shops, going to take the kids to school, out for a dog walk, things like that. So that's a plug-in. Then you've got a full hybrid, which basically recharges itself. It uses a battery and a motor, stores the residual energy from coasting and braking. It's called a KERS system, kinetic energy recovery system. I'm not going to go into the details on that, but it basically takes that energy, as well as replacing the conventional starter motor and alternator with a motor that drives power into the battery. Combine all that lot together, and that car you do not need to plug in. It will give you X amount of miles of electric only energy, and at the same time you can do up to certain speeds on that electric energy as well. So that's your full fat hybrid explained. Your mild hybrid, which is what we've got here, basically you cannot run on electrical energy alone. It is purely there to give you a little bit more bang for buck on your acceleration, and at the same time give you a little bit more bang for your buck on your economy. And the way this car works is no different to any other mild hybrid. However, it does give an extra bang for your buck when it comes to the brake horsepower on this car, because that motor and battery that I was just talking about, if you were to take that away and had this as the standard 1 litre 3-cylinder engine instead of having the mild hybrid attached, you would drop from the 120 brake horsepower to 100 horsepower, and you really would notice the difference. So that little hybrid does increase that by 20 horsepower with this particular car. In addition to that, not only do you get a little bit more acceleration, as I said, you get better economy. And the way that works is this car very cleverly will disengage itself. It calls itself sailing. A little sail comes up down here and tells you, I'm sailing. So if you take your foot off and allow the car to coast, it will come up as sailing. Now when it's sailing, basically, it disengages the gearbox, so you are therefore not using the actual power of the engine to propel the car. It's actually using a little bit of its battery power, and that in turn gives you much better fuel economy. It does all this seamlessly. You don't have to engage anything. It's just doing it itself through the computer. It's very, very clever indeed. Now, speaking of economy with this car, we are currently getting 45.9 to the gallon. I can see down there in my driver's information panel. Hyundai say this car should be getting combined around about 53.3 to the gallon. I truly believe on a combined run on this car, we'd easily get 53 to the gallon, providing at the moment I've got the aircon turned off, there's no electric seats on, radio's off, things like that. So basically everything's switched off, I'm getting a decent mileage to it. And obviously I'm running in the economy mode. There's 3 modes on this car. You've got economy, comfort and sport. And don't forget, this car, it's got that extra brake horsepower in it because of the mild hybrid system. So hopefully I've explained exactly how that all works, and any more comments, stick them in the box down below. So there you have it, guys, the Hyundai i20 N-Line. What a little warm hatch, as we've affectionately called it. They don't come much better than these, trust me, and I suggest you get down to a Hyundai garage and give yourself a little test drive in one of these. We've run a few figures around this car, and just to give you some ideas of the actual costs of running one of these cars and buying one, you can actually get one of these on a personal lease finance from around £200 UK a month with a 10% deposit. Absolutely fantastic. Now this in turn interested my young son, who's 20 years old. He's done a couple of years driving now, so he inquired about the insurance, because that's a big thing for young drivers, especially here in the UK. And he found out you can actually insure one of these cars with 2 years experience for under £1,000 UK a year. So if you are going to go down and have a test drive, don't tell your kids if they're coming up to their second car, because he now wants one of these and we're going to have to go and get a test drive in it. But joking and humour apart, this car is value for money at the end of the day, and it becomes even more value for money when you look at the warranty that Hyundai give with this car. It's a 5-year unlimited mileage warranty. That's pretty incredible. You get a 12-year anti-perforation, or anti-corrosion as I like to call it, the old school style. 12 years on that, so there's no rusty bits ever going to appear on it. In addition to that, you get roadside assistance and you get 5 annual health checks on this car. Simply stunning. You can't really go wrong, can you? So at the end of the day, I'm giving this top marks and suggest that you do go down to your Hyundai garage and have a test drive in one and speak about all the different trim levels with your Hyundai salesperson. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed our little review of the i20, or the i20 N-Line, sorry, got to get it right. I certainly enjoyed having this for just over a week. It's been a little bit of fun for me. Don't forget, like, subscribe and comment. There's a comment box down below there. If you've got anything you want to say about this car or any questions you want to ask about it, stick them in the comment box and one of the team will get back to you in due course. Don't forget, if you want to subscribe, because you saw at the beginning of this video, we don't just do car reviews, we do loads of stuff. So if you're interested in what we do and you like what we do, then subscribe and leave the bell sign unchecked, and then you will get regular updates on all those different videos that we are currently uploading. So hopefully one of those is going to be of interest. And also, I've got to mention something, you're going to get something for free here, so don't switch off now and suddenly flick to the end. This is something that you're going to enjoy. It's called the Player Bookazine, because although we're the Player YouTube, we're part of a much bigger organisation. We're part of the Player, and it's a 184-page men's bookazine. It's absolutely packed full of cars, boats, holidays, golf, food, interviews. I could go on and on and on about all the bits and pieces. It's a hardback book. Now, I can't actually give you the physical book because they cost 100 UK pounds each. Plus, we have to post them out in a special box and everything. You can subscribe to one of them if you want to. However, what you can do is have the exact same thing, but online. Just head over to www.theplayer.co.uk. Hang on, it's coming in here now. There you go. I'll leave it down there for a few minutes so you can memorise it. Just go straight onto the page that says bookazine, and just put your name in and your email, and it's all yours, completely free of charge. You can zoom in, you can download it, you can flick the pages, you can do everything with it. It's absolutely amazing, and it's completely yours, as I say, for watching me, AJ, on the YouTube, completely free. Last thing, and last but not least, is the most important thing. I really appreciate if you give us a thumbs up. We don't get a bonus, we don't get, you know, extra money for or extra pay for what we do, but we do get a pat on the back from the boss when you thumbs up. So if you can give us a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. Guys, catch you next week with something different, whether it's a car, whether it's a boat, whether it's a plane, who knows. I'll see you soon. Take care.